What's your favorite candy bar when you go to the convenience store? Is it the Crunch Bars, Hershey Bars? Is it Starburst, Skittles? What would I tell you if some of those products actually had some pretty alarming ingredients in them? Let's start with the pink Starburst, for instance. It's actually called a castoreum. That is a anal secretion from a beaver, and the FDA actually approved for this to be in our foods. Surprisingly enough, it's also in Cadbury eggs. It gives a vanilla raspberry flavor. So next time that you're enjoying those pink Starbursts, maybe you should think about what you're eating a little bit. Let's move down to the L-cysteine. That's actually an amino acid made from human hair. Yeah, I said it right, human hair. You can actually find this inside of McDonald's cinnamon rolls and their baked apple pies. Ooh. What is shellac? Well, it's actually a secretion from a female bug. They lay that inside of a tree trunk, and then we collect it, and a scientist decided to put it on jelly beans. It's that shiny coating that you see outside of really any hard candy or jelly bean. Cellulose is actually mixed inside of our shredded cheese to keep it from sticking on the shelves. What would you say if I actually told you that's sawdust? When you eat shredded cheese, you're eating sawdust. Crazy, right? Are you tired of hearing all these horrifying ingredients in our common food? I know I am. That is why my family and I decided to turn to canning and dehydrating food. It prolongs the life of your food on the shelf. It also keeps me in control of what is going into my food. So I know exactly what I'm eating, and I don't have to be horrified when I find out about beaver anal secretions or sawdust or even human hair going into my food. One thing I enjoy when it comes to canning and dehydrating, I can actually sit there with my daughter and show her things that my grandma and my mom has taught me growing up. It's a bonding experience for everyone involved. Not to mention, you can also combat the inflation that everyone is dealing with in America right now and those rising grocery prices. You can actually grow your food right in your backyard, and you don't need a lot of space. You can do it on a half acre. And then you know what pesticides are going on your food, and you are just controlling everything at this point. You're also controlling the food waste, so that may help with your garbage bill down the road. According to America.org, America is actually one of the leading countries to have waste. There's actually 92 billion pounds of food that Americans throw away every year, which that equals about 145 meals. That's wild to think about. Maybe you don't even know where to start with canning, and that's okay. There's so many great resources out there. There's TikTok, there's the regular internet, and there's millions of people out there. Or maybe just turn to your grandma and sit down and have a conversation with her, or even your mom, and ask her, have you ever heard of this? You might be surprised what they have learned over their years. Some of you may have the question, canning, dehydrating, I don't know. I can just throw things in my freezer and it's fine. Well, I don't like to worry about power outages. It can destroy the whole entire freezer in a matter of an hour. As Americans, we do take those things for granted. As soon as you turn the flick for the switch for the lights, you expect those lights to come on. But you can never control when a natural disaster is going to happen, or even when a pandemic is going to happen, and those prices will skyrocket, so you use less of certain services. It's a great feeling and sense of security for me and my family to know that no matter what happens as far as natural disasters or pandemics, we have enough food in our pantry for at least a year to get us by. Maybe you live in the city and you really don't have the yard space for a garden. That's okay. You go to your local grocery store. What I love to do is looking for things on discount price that are going to expire, within the next few days. I scoop those up because those prices are typically 50% cheaper than what the regular price is. These are the foods that I will either cook for dinner immediately, or I will cook them and I will can them immediately, because when I can them, it prolongs their life. And it could be prolonged for a couple years, 5 years, 30 years, and some are shelf stable for the rest of my life. That is wild to think about. Another awesome thing to do is to look at your local school. A lot of times that they will do fundraisers for the kids. They'll do the bushels of strawberries, or they'll do the oranges and apples from the FFA group. That is a great thing to contribute to. And it also gives you a large quantity where you can make that into something else, like your jellies or whatever else you can possibly come up with. And you can throw that in your canning storage. If you want to start somewhere small, start with your home cooked meals. The ends of your carrots, the celery, the onion peels, the ends of the onions, tomatoes, any extra vegetable that you have laying on the chopping board that you would typically just throw away, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it inside of your freezer. If you do a rotisserie chicken, save the carcass of the chicken, throw it in the freezer. When you get a whole entire gallon Ziploc freezer bag full of these discard items, throw it in a crock pot, fill it up with water, put garlic, put peppercorns in there, anything that you really want to, put in there for seasonings and flavors. Let it cook for 8 hours or even the whole day. The longer you let it sit, the more flavor you're gonna have. Guess what that is? It's either your vegetable broth or your chicken stock. You should never have to go to the store and spend money on any kind of stock because you have all the necessary ingredients in your house. In conclusion, make your own food, can your own food. Quit eating what the FDA says is okay to go in your food, when in all reality, you would never eat those foods if you actually knew what was going into it. And make sure you have fun while you're doing it and spend some family time.